Okay, I got a 2008 Ford Mustang V6. It's got a separated harmonic balancer. So you can see right there, the actual serpentine belt track is kind of an outer ring that goes over that harmonic balancer, and it is separated and just basically crammed itself into the back of the motor back there. It destroyed the camshaft sensor, and so the motor will crank but it won't start, and so I had to diagnose several things to get to this point. So first thing I diagnosed was the fact that the fuel sensor was working right there, and the fuel pump was working, lots of pressure there, everything's good and in spec. It would still crank and I still wouldn't get a spark. So I did take a look at this is my cold air intake. This is actually my son's car, but this is the cold air intake. I did look at the mass airflow sensor, and I did end up replacing that because it was pretty bad, but it wasn't the problem. It wasn't triggered. So I'm still not getting a spark. It'll crank, turn over, no spark, and what I figured out was the camshaft sensor, crankshaft sensor, sorry, was totally broke, and it's over here. Let me show it to you. Since that outer ring came apart, the crankshaft sensor, which is right there, you see it's got a big gouge in it where the outer ring of the serpentine belt separated and then got into the sensor. What it's supposed to look like is right there. So we tell, there's a view of both of them. So the camshaft sensor, when that harmonic balancer came apart, it just destroyed that camshaft sensor. So new camshaft sensor, I've got a new harmonic balancer. To get that thing off, it's not too bad. I had to get just a universal puller here. So this is kind of just a cheap universal puller that I'll be able to use this to get on a harmonic balancer and get it pulled apart. Put that new one on and get the new camshaft sensor. There's the new camshaft sensor. Get that put on, and then the motor should get a signal to light ignition. Alright, so I'm going to get started on that. Should be able to splice this video and give some good pointers there. Okay, I got the cold air intake out of the way. The fan's electric, so I don't have to pull the fan off on this model. I can get these hoses up out of the way right there. Plenty of room to work. Got the serpentine belt off. Now I'm going to get the bolts, get this puller bolted up to the harmonic balancer and pull that off. So got to run and get some longer bolts. The ones that came in the kit aren't long enough. So I'll be back. I was able to use the service port to the transmission to stop the flywheel. That way you don't have to try to figure out how to get the harmonic balancer to stop with the belt or anything like that. So there on this model, 2008 Ford Mustang, 6-cylinder, 4-liter, the transmission does have that little small port right there. So I was able to get a screwdriver kind of wedged in the tooth of the flywheel, and that'll stop the transmission, and then the flywheel will stop the crankshaft, obviously. So that's how I've unbolted the main bolt of the... Okay, I've got the puller bolted up to the harmonic balancer. There seemed to be plenty of room in here without having to move the fan. I did kind of take this with one radiator hose and get it up out of the way, but plenty of room in there. Now the main bolt that holds the harmonic balancer on had to be left in, so excuse me. Okay, I got this out. There it is with the puller still mounted on it. See, it's all separated right there, and this outer flywheel or harmonic balancer shaft is just totally separated from the actual inner part. What I had to do is I had to leave that bolt, the actual harmonic balancer bolt, in there to get that puller to push against it, and I had to take the puller off several times, just inch the bolt out a little bit and then push against the bolt to get it off. and so that was it. But you can tell it's just totally separated. Yeah, so that's it. It's off. You got to replace that harmonic balancer bolt. That's what they call a torque to yield bolt. So they torque it down, and it's not to be reused. So you have to actually buy one. So if you look on Amazon, the kit comes with the new harmonic balancer. They recommend the bolt and the puller. Be careful, the puller that they recommend doesn't have long enough bolts. So I had to go back and buy some bolts just at Home Depot. These bolts right here, those are 90 millimeters long. So they're 8.8 millimeter bolt, 90 millimeter long, so they can go all the way through the balancer and into the actual the harmonic part of it, so that you can pull it off. So anyway, the little 70 millimeter bolts that came with it weren't long enough. All right, I got the new one on. You can see now how the harmonic balancer serpentine grooves there line up with front of the harmonic balancer. Everything's cool. You torque that torque to yield bolt's kind of weird. Okay, you got to torque it to 36 foot-pounds and then 85 degrees. Which what I did is I got it to 36 foot-pounds, and then I took this big breaker bar. Again, the transmission service hole there is locked, and I just rotated the breaker bar there, the big extension, roughly 90 degrees. So I went from 90 degrees clockwise to tighten it up. The 36 foot-pounds plus 85 degrees. Anyways, close enough. Okay, so here was the initial problem. The crankshaft sensor was destroyed because that wheel came apart, or that harmonic balancer came apart, and just destroyed the harmonic or the magnetic sensor in there that tells the engine that the crankshaft's turning. So got that back on. See, it's all lined up to the little holes inside the harmonic balancer, which gives it an oscillating signal. I got it all hooked up, tightened up. Don't forget to take your whatever you use to stop the transmission, take that out before you try to crank it over. Alright, we got it running. You see the harmonic balancer down in there? Running just fine. Belts on. Everything's lining up nice. So, the original problem was we had no spark. I did start with the fuel pressure gauge, make sure the fuel pump was working. That was working, still got no spark. So I went with the mass air sensor. That was okay. But if that's not working, you're not going to get ignition. And what it turned out to be was that right down there, the camshaft sensor was destroyed because of the harmonic balancer separation. So you can see the sensor right down in there, and if it doesn't get a harmonic signal from the balancer, then it's not going to light the ignition. So once I got that sensor replaced with a good harmonic balancer, then fired right up. Alright, good luck.